Cartman, go ahead and get our IFR clearance to KPIE.
I'll get our IFR clearance to St. Petersburg, Clearwater International Airport.
Concorde clearance, Allegiant 1004. We'd like to receive our IFR clearance. We have uniform.
Give me 1 second for that clearance. Allegiant 1004, Concord clearance, cleared to St. Pete via the BV6 departure, then is filed. Climb and maintain 4000. Expect flight level 36010 minutes after departure. Departure on 128.325, squawk 5614. Expect runway 2.
This runway's barely long enough. I'm talking barely. Ooh, this is going to be a test. It's not a terribly long runway. We've got 6 minutes till line. Uh, 4,000. Got it. I didn't get SWAT. 5614. need some difference training there. I didn't lose my settings. That's good.
Ground to cockpit, please show me where you want to go. Ground to cockpit, tow is driving up.
Addison, go ahead and get our pushback and start clearance.
All right, Steve. I'll get our pushback clearance.
Set him in his window. See if he'll stay.
Allegiant 1004, requesting clearance for pushback and start.
Allegiant 1004, pushback and start approved, tail west.
That's his superpower.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
I don't know if you recognize that. That's Concorde.
Tow connected and bike pads been inserted.
Paget Regional.
Release parking brake.
Yeah. In fact. Yeah, and there's 85. Yeah, you know where you are.
This is the road that we go down and we always see the
Yeah, you see through the fence. Yeah, and I think what's missing though in this in their depiction, I think isn't that Concord Mills Mall?
Is there supposed to be a road like right here?
There is a road there, and there's a off ramp. There is an off ramp there. Yeah, there's even like the diamond, all the crazy stuff. But I think that should be Concord Mills Mall, which means that over there should be the racetrack, somewhere way over in the distance. But it's the visibility right now is the ceiling's 600 feet, so I can't see it. Text Wayne Joyce. I have the notes information for tonight along with the Deacon's ordination certificate.
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
The difficulty with this takeoff is to
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
ensure
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
you have enough lift. I guess that's every takeoff, but 2985. Two 985.
Tow is disconnected and bypass bin has been removed. Hand signal on the left. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
Alright, so we're taking off, but we're actually going back the opposite way once we get off the ground. Alright, flaps are 2. We're ready for taxi clearance.
All right, Steve, I'll get our taxi clearance.
Concord ground, Allegiant 1004, ready to taxi. We have uniform.
Allegiant 1004, runway 2 taxi via Alpha 3 Alpha.
Runway 2, Alpha 3, Alpha, Allegiant 1004.
gained every bit of runway we could get, so it's taken us to the furthest side. Stop here. Landing lights. Runway turn-off lights are off. Chronos are reset. Addison, you can get our takeoff clearance.
Steve, I can't get our takeoff clearance unless you hand over comms control to me.
Addison, I'm handing over comm controls to you.
I've got the comms now, Steve. Let's get ready for takeoff.
Now, Addison, I need takeoff clearance.
I'll get our takeoff clearance, Steve.
Concord Tower, Allegiant 1004. Holding short of runway 2. We are ready for departure.
Allegiant 1004, Concord Tower, runway 2, winds calm. RNAV, you gang, cleared for takeoff.
Runway 2, RNAV U gang, cleared for takeoff. Allegiant 1004.
What I'm going to do now is line us up, and we're going to run it up. We need every bit of runway we can get. Okay, there we go, right there. Brakes are down. All right. Toga. Knots. V1, rotate. Positive rate. You're up. Flaps are at 1 currently.
Allegiant 1004, contact departure on 128.325.
Contacting departure on 128.325. Allegiant 1004.
Flaps are
Charlotte
retracted.
departure, Allegiant 1004. Good afternoon, climbing through 1000.
Thrust climb.
Allegiant 1004, Charlotte departure, radar contact, climb and maintain flight level 230.
230.
Climb and maintain flight level 230. Allegiant 1004.
heavy in the clouds. If you notice, you have no point of reference when you're at this place that we are in the clouds, and all you have is instruments. All you have. Engine anti-ice is on.
Allegiant 1004, direct you gang, then as filed, please.
Allegiant 1004, direct to gang, that is filed. Bird 8000.
Allegiant 1004, climb and maintain flight level 270.
Climb and maintain flight level 270, Allegiant 1004.
270. Yeah.
So, since there's absolutely nothing interesting around except McCachran Field, let's talk about that. McCachran Field is one of those airstrips that's so small, if you blink, you'll miss it. It was probably built by someone who thought, you know what this patch of grass needs? More planes. It's the sort of place where the biggest excitement is when someone lands the right way up. My friend Toby once tried to impress a girl there by doing a cartwheel on the runway. He ended up impressing the local geese instead, who chased him for about half a mile. That's the most action the runway's seen in years.
Allegiant 1004, climb and maintain flight level 320.
Climb and maintain flight level 320, Allegiant 1004.
Ice not detected. Alright, all the anti-ice is off. Seatbelt stay on. altimeter I'm setting to standard. We're around 17, but around 17, 18, we switch to standard. Nothing exciting up to 320. At least you hope not.
Allegiant 1004, contact Atlanta Center on 133.15.
Contacting Atlanta Center on 13. Atlanta Center, Allegiant 1004. Good afternoon. Climbing through flight level 190 for flight level 320.
Allegiant 1004, Atlanta Center, good afternoon.
Atlanta Center, Allegiant 1004. Good afternoon. Climbing through flight level 190 for flight level 320.
Allegiant 1004, climb and maintain flight level 360.
Climb and maintain flight level 360. Allegiant 1004.
Nothing to see. It's coming. Toliss A320 is really solid, like A320 rendition or rendering, but A321neo, A320, and A330-900 I put all in the same class, and I would add the A340-600 in the same group of Airbuses. I'm kind of hung out to dry on flying my 777 made by Flight Factor, because it will it's having some sort of graphics conflict, or I don't know, I haven't figured it out yet. It did work at some point, but it doesn't now.
Well, since there's absolutely nothing interesting around except the closest city, let's talk about Rock Hill. Rock Hill is the kind of place that sounds like it should be famous for rocks or hills, but actually it's mostly famous for being called Rock Hill. It was founded in the 1850s when someone probably tripped over a rock and said, "That'll do." Here's something. During the civil rights movement, Rock Hill was known for the Friendship Nine, a group of men who went to jail rather than pay fines for sitting at a whites-only lunch counter. That's proper history, that is. My mate Toby once tried to recreate the event by refusing to leave a Waffle House until they brought him more syrup. He ended up getting escorted out by a woman called Doris, who could bench press a tractor.
That's funny. That really is funny, huh? We still got about 10,000 to flight level and then I will time compress maybe 3x. It's looking better.
Allegiant 1004, contact Jacksonville Center on 124.7.
Contacting Jacksonville Center on 124.7, Allegiant 1004. Jacksonville Center, Allegiant 1004. Good afternoon, flight level 310 for flight level 360.
Allegiant 1004, Jacksonville Center, good afternoon.
At our 11 o'clock, about 22 miles out, you'll spot Williams-Brice Stadium. It's basically a giant bowl where people gather to watch other people run about with a ball, which is apparently very important. The stadium was built in 1934, which means it's almost as old as the concept of disappointment for the home team. Here's something. It's so big, you could probably fit an entire small town inside, or at least all the people who claim to have gone to every game. My mate Toby once tried to sneak onto the pitch during halftime, dressed as a giant hot dog. At our 11 o'clock, about 21 miles out, you can spot Williams-Brice Stadium. It's a massive concrete bowl where people gather to watch other people run around after a ball, which is apparently very important. The stadium was built in 1934, back when people thought concrete was the future and Wi-Fi was just a twinkle in the eye of a science fiction writer. Here's something. The stadium can hold over 77,000 people, which is almost as many as the number of hot dogs consumed there on a game day. My mate Toby once tried to sneak onto the pitch dressed as the mascot, but he got stuck in the giant chicken suit and had to be rescued by 3 security guards and a bloke dressed as a hot dog.
We're near the top of the descent. What we'll do now is when we level out at 360, we will time compress 3 times and cut out some of the cruise time. We're close. Okay. Alright, we're leveling out at 360 on our altitude for cruise. Seatbelt sign is off. And we have throttled up to 3x, 3x for time compression to save some time. It was a nice climb up to our cruise altitude and coming out of Paget Regional. That's very uneventful, which is good because we had to use every bit of that runway, and it was wet. It was wet. I wouldn't say it was like floody wet, but if it were a little bit more, we would have had to wait.
Well, since there's absolutely nothing interesting around except the closest airport, let's talk about Perry International Airport. Now, despite the grand name, it's not exactly Heathrow. It's more like a field where someone once landed a plane and thought, that'll do. It was probably built by someone who got bored of driving tractors and fancied a go at flying instead. Here's something. The only international thing about it is the time a French goose accidentally landed there during migration. My mate Toby once tried to impress a group of pilots by doing donuts on the runway in a golf cart. He ended up getting chased by airport security and a very angry groundskeeper with a rake.
KJFC here. Brake mode medium. Q&H is I hate when it does that right there. It's aggravating. 10, 12. It's 2988. Oh, it's 27. Winds are a little something to pay attention to. They're 24 knots. And Barrow. I don't have to mess with anything else here. Okay, top of descent. Is it Edison? Discontinuity, I know what that's for. It's when we transition over. So with that in mind, we can take that off.
Well, since there's absolutely nothing interesting around except the closest airport, let's talk about Claxton Evans County Airport. It's the sort of place where you wonder if the main terminal is just someone's garden shed with a sign on it. Built in 1965, probably because someone got tired of landing in actual fields, it's famous for being the only place in Georgia where you can see both a plane and a tractor in the same traffic jam. Here's something. The annual highlight is when the mayor tries to land a Cessna after 3 shandies at the pancake breakfast. My mate Toby once tried to impress a group of skydivers there by jumping out of a stationary plane.
Maintaining flight level 360.
Allegiant 1004, Jacksonville Center, good afternoon.
Just are braking a 200 mile away destination distance, and I'm going to go a little lower. Addison, go ahead and get our descent clearance on the date arrival.
Well, since there's absolutely nothing interesting around except the closest airport,
Jacksonville
let's talk
Center,
about Baker
Allegiant
County
1004,
Airport.
requesting
It's the sort
descent
of
clearance
place
on
where
the
the
gauge
control
2
tower
arrival.
is probably just a bloke with a pair of
Allegiant
binoculars
1004,
and a
clear
flask
gauge
of
2
tea.
BAM transition
Built
into
in
St.
the
Pete when you're ready,
1960s,
descend and maintain
which is
flight
when
level
people
260.
thought putting concrete anywhere made it official. It's famous for being the only place in Florida
Cleared
where you
gauge
can
2
see a
BAM
plane, a
transition into
tractor,
St. Pete.
and a
Descend
confused
and maintain
alligator
flight
all
level
in the same
260
shot.
when ready.
Here's
Allegiant
something.
1004.
The annual highlight is when the mayor tries to land a Cessna after judging the local pie contest. My mate Toby once tried to impress a group of skydivers there by jumping out of a stationary plane.
All right, Steve. I'm requesting our descent clearance on the Dades 2 arrival.
At our 12 o'clock, about 7 miles out, you can spot Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. It's basically a massive concrete bowl where people gather to shout at students running about with a ball, which is apparently very important in Florida. The stadium was built in 1930, back when people thought the best way to spend a Saturday was to sit in the sun and get sunburnt while watching other people exercise. Here's something. It's nicknamed the Swamp, which is odd because if you actually tried to play football in a real swamp, you'd probably lose your shoes and possibly your dignity.
Allegiant 1004, contact Jacksonville Center on 128.425.
Contacting Jacksonville Center on Jacksonville Center, Allegiant 1004. Good afternoon, descending flight level 290 for flight level 260. Jacksonville Center, Allegiant 1004. Good afternoon, descending flight level 290 for flight level 260.
Allegiant 1004, Jacksonville Center, good afternoon.
Hey, Mike.
11 o'clock, about 20 miles out, you'll spot Lake Panisofsky Dog Park. Now, this isn't just any patch of grass, it's a place where dogs go to forget they're not wolves. The park sits next to Lake Panisofsky, which is a lake so big, it looks like someone dropped a giant puddle in the middle of Florida and just left it there. The lake itself has been around for thousands of years, probably because nobody could be bothered to move it. Here's something. The name Panisofsky comes from a Seminole word meaning Valley of Water, which is a bit like calling the Sahara Valley of Sand. My mate Toby once tried to impress a woman by entering a dog frisbee competition here, but he didn't have a dog, so he just chased the frisbee himself.
Contacting Tampa approach on 125.3, Allegiant 1004. Tampa approach, Allegiant 1004. Good afternoon. Descending 17,000 for 16,000.
Allegiant 1004, Tampa approach, good afternoon, St. Pete, altimeter 29er 89er. Expect the ILS runway 18 approach into St. Pete.
Altimeter 29er 89er. Expecting ILS runway 18 approach. Allegiant 1004.
Allegiant 1004, descend and maintain 4,000 feet, turn right, heading 245 vectors for the ILS runway 18 approach.
Descend and maintain 4,000. Right heading 245 for the ILS runway 18 approach. Allegiant 1004.
heading 310.
Turning right, heading 310, Allegiant 1004.
Allegiant 1004, descend and maintain 4,000 feet, turn right heading 265.
Descend and maintain 4,000. Right turn heading 265, Allegiant 1004.
Allegiant 1004, 8 miles from Zeepham. Maintain heading 250, descend and maintain 2600 feet until established on the localizer. Cleared for the ILS runway 18 approach.
Heading 250. Descend and maintain 2600 until established on the localizer. Cleared for the ILS runway 18 approach. Allegiant 1004.
Allegiant 1004, contact St. Pete Tower on 118.3.
Switching to St. Pete Tower on 118.3. Allegiant 1004. St. Pete Tower, Allegiant 1004. Good afternoon. Established on the ILS runway 18 approach.
Allegiant 1004, St. Pete Tower, roger, continue approach.
Allegiant 1004, winds 200 at 24, gusting 33. Runway 18, cleared to land.
2,500.
Runway 18, cleared to land. Allegiant 1004.
Addison, do the landing brief, do the approach brief.
I couldn't find any checklist for this aircraft. You can create your own using the checklist tuner in the pilot portal.
Do an approach brief for us.
2,000.
Addison, do an approach brief for us.
One thousand. $500. 400. 300. 200. 100. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, retard, 5, retard, retard, retard.
Allegiant 1004, welcome to St. Pete. Contact ground on 121.9er.
Switching to ground on 121.9er. Allegiant 1004. St. Pete ground, Allegiant 1004. Good afternoon, cleared of runway, ready to taxi to the gate.
Allegiant 1004, St. Pete ground, taxi to Terminal 1, Gate 3 via Alpha 3, Alpha Tango. Good day.
Terminal 1, Gate 3 via Alpha 3, Alpha Tango, Allegiant 1004.